very good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. It is a Sunday morning, let's see here, the second day of December 2018. Thank you very much for joining us for today's edition of Sundays with George Grant. I'm George Grant, and got an interesting program lined up for you over the next 3 hours, so I do hope that you'll be able to stick around with us for the next 3 hours. Now, get things started. As always, I'm going to ask you to please make sure that you take a good look at the homepage that you're on right now, GrenadaBroadcast.com, and you'll see that there are a number of platforms where you can join us for today's program. Oh my goodness, what the heck's going on here? Oh my goodness. Yeah, number of platforms. You can join us on TuneIn, where you'll just hear us. You can join us on Radio Genre, where you'll be able to hear us only. You can join us on Radio Garden, and again, you'll only be able to hear us there. Now, if you are having difficulty watching us on Facebook or on the homepage, you know, that monitor that we have on the homepage there on Grenada Broadcast, if you're having problems watching us there on Facebook or on Grenada Broadcast, that's when you can go to the audio version and you'll be able to hear it. But remember, the program is recorded. Because of the hiccups we've been having, we decided to have those other platforms where you can check in, okay, and listen so you don't miss everything or anything. However, at the end of the program, we will upload the program in its entirety to both Facebook and YouTube. So later on today, you can go back at your leisure and watch without any hiccups. See tons of you out there on the audio platforms already, but on Facebook I'm only seeing a couple of people. Bernard Gilbert saying good morning, and Anthea Rello. Anthea is with us today. I hope you can spend the whole day, Anthea. Those are the only two folks I see at the moment on Facebook, and I would imagine that others are going to be joining us very shortly. Let's get into today's rundown, Pilgrims. We will begin, as always, with this week's edition of the Holy Scriptures, and then the feedback section. Okay, the buzz. As far as editorials are concerned, we do have 3 for you this morning. The first one is captioned, Positive Signs for Women's Cricket. And that comes to you from the Grenada Advocate. Then, the new today is captioned, Pay Up. You know what that's about, right? And finally, the Grenadian Voice is captioned, Back to the Table. That too has to do with the issue we've been dealing with big time in this country right now, and that's the strike. Well, that strike is on pause, by the way. Then we move to our features. No, we move to the interview. We do have an interview this morning about a function which is coming up, not this weekend, but the following weekend, the coming weekend. Carols by Candlelight. Big event here every year. And folks, from what I'm hearing, this year is going to be out of this world. Carols by Candlelight. Rolf Hostialik, who is a past president of the Rotary Club of Grenada, will be in here. As you know, the people behind this are the Rotary Club, or should I say is the Rotary Club. He's going to be joined by the club's public relations officer, a gentleman by the name of Juan Bailey. Okay? So that's actually the only interview that we have this morning. And the reason why we did that is because we wanted to make room for our main feature. I wanted to give them as much time as they wanted. They didn't ask for time, but I decided, well, let's see if we can give these people more than an hour, closer to an hour and a half. It's captioned, the main feature is captioned, a pause in industrial action, but government or both sides are standing firm. Coming in here this morning, I do have the president of the Technical and Allied Workers Union. By the way, all three of these folks are known to everybody. Mr. Andre Lewis is going to be joining us. He's going to be joined by the president of the Public Workers Union, dynamic lady by the name of Rachael Roberts. And they are going to be joined by Lydon Lewis. Lydon's not going to be in here until about 11 o'clock, as I understand it. He's the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers. Now, I hope everybody shows up. I'm excited about seeing all three presidents of the major trades unions coming in here this morning. I spoke with each and every one of them, and they have assured me that they will be here. Now, let me get back here to Facebook. Oh, yeah, Facebook. Lori Bridgman says, good morning, brother. Keep up this important information service. It means a lot. Hope more people look at it. Stay blessed. Well, thank you for your kind words, Lori, wherever you are, and not sure what country you're in. But a little later on, we're going to take a look at where some of the people are joining us from this morning. I like this one. Good morning, Ade. Guess who that is? Our good friend Margaret out there in New York. Then Peter Bishop. Hello, Pedro. Peter says, good morning to you, George, and the rest of the class. Notice today he doesn't tell us where he is, but I would imagine it's somewhere. The last time I heard from him, it was Long Island, if I'm not mistaken. It's probably somewhere in the States. Never know. Kipling Francis says, looking great. Hope it stays so, GB. Kipling, yeah, me too. So far, so good. Thank you, Lord. Petra J. Smith says, excuse me, Petra. Oh, Petra, what would I have done without you? Petra is pointing out to me that that event is today. So I imagine that she's talking about carols by candlelight. Sorry about that, Petra. And finally, I see here Ryan is saying, good morning, George and class. The clocks have changed. Yeah, Ryan, you noticed, eh? Yeah. Which means that it's about 10 minutes after 8 and you guys are out of bed already? Not really. You're probably lying in your bed with your iPad or smartphone, huh? With the weather being as cold as it is, I can't imagine why you guys are up and about so early on a Sunday morning. But I do thank you anyway. Perhaps this next one here answers it all. Sonia McKee John says, hi, George. It's always a pleasure to listen to you. And boy, she's got a whole long line of flags there, American and Grenadian flags. Well, Sonia, thank you so much. It's very kind of you, my dear. Spread the word. We need all the friends we can get. Tell them to like. Margaret, you hear that? I remembered. Tell them to like and share. Like and share. So you don't have to remind me this morning, Miss Francis. Georgie Porgy's learning. So, my dear friends, that's going to take care of the rundown. Oh, hold on. One more here. Jude Francis is saying, good morning, sir. Jude Francis, Canada, listening. Well, Jude, hello there, Jude. I certainly hope that everything's fine in Canada. I miss you guys up there. I really, really do. Especially with all the TV that's going on here in Grenada. Anyhow, nice of you. Oh, here's another one. Ernesto Jose says, good morning, George and fellow listeners. It's Education Sundays with George. You're too kind, Ernesto. Is that a Puerto Rican name, a Spanish name, a Mexican name? I don't know. Nice name anyway. Thanks a lot for joining us this morning. Okay, friends, let's take our first little break here now. So far, everything's working hunky-dory. Pray that it does. Keep up, okay? Take a little break and we'll come on back with this week's edition of The Buzz.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate, Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Spread some cheer and show you care with Grenlec's Give a Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with Grenlec. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our Grenlec customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with Grenlec's Give a Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Why wish upon a star? Our bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas, we'll give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you. Welcome home.
Okay, so there you have it. First commercial break of the morning. We got to pay bills, you know, you understand. Before I jump into the buzz, let me get back here to Facebook for just a wee bit. Sonia McKee-John says, I just liked and shared. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Sonia. Margaret would be extremely proud of you. Thank you so much. Irene Rattan is saying good morning. Anthony DeRiggs is saying greetings from Brooklyn where it's raining. Hey. Anthony, you promised me you're going to be down here sometime around the end of the year. Boy, can't wait to see you. Thanks for coming. Margaret Francis says, attaboy, yeah. Attaboy, yeah. Please like and share the program. Oh, thank you so much, Margaret. You're such a good coach. What the heck we would do without you? I don't know. Lydia James is saying, good morning to you, George, and good morning, Grenada. Margaret, looks like you started something here, man. Everybody's sharing this morning. You got a good class of students, girl, because I see here that Lydia James is also saying, I share too. Oh, you guys are great. Thank you. You see why I so enjoy coming and sitting in this chair here on a Sunday morning? Nice of you to join us. Pilgrims, let's turn away from Facebook for just a wee bit and get back to the old teleprompter here. We begin the buzz with a reading from the Holy Scriptures. And this reading, 3 verses. They come to you from Matthew chapter 6, verses 22, 23, and 24. It says, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No one can serve 2 masters. Either you will hate one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Let that sink in, pilgrims, especially the very last sentence. You cannot serve both God and money. A lot of people out there who still don't understand that. And by the way, that's Matthew chapter 6, 22 to 24. Now, overnight, I received a note from the government, and I'm going to share that with you. It is captioned, Prime Minister receives report of Salaries Review Commission. Quote, Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Mitchell has received the report of the Independent Salaries Review Commission. The commission spent the last few months reviewing the salaries of all parliamentarians in Grenada, including ministers of government, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the President of the Senate, and the Leader of the Opposition. Comparisons were also done with other countries in the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. Thursday, Chairman of the Salaries Review Commission, Mr. Henry Joseph, presented the report to Dr. Mitchell, who said it will be considered by Cabinet and laid before the House sometime in 2019. In his wrap-up of the budget debate last Friday, Dr. Mitchell indicated that he intends to take action to improve the salaries of government ministers. The Prime Minister revealed that there is a difference of more than $20,000 in the salaries of some ministers and their permanent secretaries, a situation which is not normal in relation to employers and employees. Unquote. So, like I said, that's a statement that we received overnight from the GIS. Quick look here. Let's see here. Quick look at Rumble Chat. I see that now these folks have not really chimed in yet. I think the only person who has chimed in on Rumble Chat is Opie. He says, "Good day, George and class, and a pleasant week to all. Let us all be part of the caring and sharing period of the year. Not only now, but 365 days of the year." So says Opie. Also out there on Rumble Chat, but they're pretty quiet so far. I see that Tess is there. Hello, Tess. Sorshi, I haven't seen you in quite a while, young man. I'm pulling Sorshi's leg. Sorshi ain't no young man. He ain't no young man. But it's good to see him. I haven't seen him for quite a while. He's probably enjoying his lovely wife and traveling the world, which is what he was doing the last time he checked in quite some time ago. Peter Bishop, hello, Pedro. Kipling Francis is there. Somebody called Good Morning Grenada is there. MSF, and so is Dennis out there in Wanstead in England. You guys are quiet, but I imagine that we'll be hearing from you later on this morning. Back to Facebook. Beverly Mitchell is saying good morning, folks. Lydia James is saying amen, and Peter Bishop. Let's see. Peter says, "So sorry that the fiscal space does not allow for increases for members of parliament." Pedro, yeah, Peter strikes again. Okay, pilgrims, that's gonna do it for Facebook for the time being. 23 minutes after the hour, still going strong here on this Sunday morning, the second day of December. By the way, just before I came into the studio here, I took a look downtown, down on the Carronage. It's a pretty large cruise ship tied up at the Carronage. I'm a little bit puzzled as to how come they tied up at the Carronage this morning and not at the Melville Street terminal. I thought, well, you know, maybe there are two more cruise ships coming, bigger ones, that are going to be tied up at Melville Street. Well, I haven't seen any. So there's a nice big ship in town this morning. Margaret says, "So, a bunch of people who do nothing will give themselves a raise. But teachers who sacrifice their time and meager resources, 7, 24, 365, get a pay cut. Tell me what is just about that." Margaret, our chief analyst. Margaret. Thanks, Mags. Thanks. Yeah, let's take another little break here and we'll come back and get started with our three editorials.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical, and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners, and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandance, and Lumber Department, Carronage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, director's liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and the cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Okie doke, folks. Lydia James says here, and I guess she's referring to that piece that I read from the GIS just a short while ago. She says, whoa, what about the salaries of public workers that were frozen? Is the salary thaw out now? I don't know, Lydia, but if you find out, give us a ding, girl. Cheryl Jarvis says, "Hi, George Grant. Long time. Do you have any info on the GoFundMe that Dr. Antoine spoke about for teachers who lost their salaries?" Good question, Cheryl. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I know that Bev has gotten cracking. She has started the process, and we're going to keep you folks posted as that develops. For those of you who aren't sure what Cheryl is talking about, on Thursday's edition of Make We Chat, we had an impromptu visit from former ambassador to CARICOM, Dr. Patrick Antoine, and we were talking about this current impasse that's going on here in Grenada. And Dr. Antoine was very sympathetic to the plight of the teachers, particularly because of the season we're in right now. It's going to be a very tough time for these people. And he threw out the idea of starting a GoFundMe campaign. And everybody on the panel that evening, there was Catherine in England, Margaret in New York, Beverly here, who else? And myself. And everybody agreed that was a terrific idea. So I can tell you that I have heard already from a number of people who are just ready to come up with some moolah for the teachers. And this thing, we haven't even started pushing the GoFundMe site yet, but already people have made it clear we wanna help. Yeah. That's the Grenada I have come to know and love, despite all the razzmatazz that goes on in this place. Okay, folks, I'll tell you what. Let's now get into our editorials. The first one comes to you from the Grenada Advocate. It is captioned, "Positive Signs for Women's Cricket." Even though defending champions West Indies lost their semi-final match against Australia in the 2018 ICC Women's World T20, we see this tournament as hopefully a sign of things to come and a huge step forward for the development of the women's game in cricket. 2 years ago, West Indies cricket fans were captivated by not one, not two, but 3 victories from our teams in international competitions. The Men's World 20, T20, or 2020, I beg your pardon, the Women's World 2020, and the Under-19 World Cup. To West Indies fans, it felt like a pivotal moment, as if the region had finally received the signal that our cricket was on the rise to take the top spot, as in years gone by. The jubilant scenes of revelry when the West Indies women's team turned up in the stadium and on the field to celebrate the senior men's victory are etched in our minds. Unfortunately, that was an illusion that barely lasted Since then, all the teams' fortunes have been mixed in the various versions of the game. Despite this, or perhaps because of the hunger for success, Caribbean crowds are captivated by the Women's 2018 World 2020 Cup, which has featured large home crowds in St. Lucia, Guyana, and Antigua. Spectators have been treated to excellent nail-biting contests in which opposing teams have provided thrilling entertainment and value for money. In short, this tournament has been revelatory and for some, proving once and for all that women's cricket can be a drawing card in the region. The women's game has not always taken off as it should in this part of the world, and with fewer female players taking up an interest, let alone playing, Caribbean persons have not always been au fait with the players in the same way that they have been aware of the men. However, it is clear that where there is a thirst and a market, the regional public will respond. And we think now is the time for authorities to capitalize on the inherent interest that may have been generated among young girls. Increased developmental programs and exposure to the game are critical. Women's cricket is being pushed by the ICC around the world, and such a showcase in our backyard provides great advertisement for young girls who can see themselves advancing in a career in cricket. For that to happen, there must be investment at the local and regional levels, which encourages more girls in the primary and secondary settings to be trained and boosted by the occasional visit and mentorship from current women's team members. The tournament ended on Saturday with Australia winning the title, but there is much one can take from the general experience. The overall level of play has been phenomenal, and the crowd support even more so. Let us hope that this is the start of the region hosting more women's cricket games, and perhaps at a later date building a year-round women's cricket league, especially in the T20 format, which is very popular with regional crowds. Okay, that's your editorial from the Grenada Advocate. Coming up next, we'll hear from the Grenadian Voice. But before I get there, let me see what else is going on. Yeah, back to Facebook here for a minute. Margaret says, yes, there is great interest and support for raising funds for the teachers. You ain't kidding, girl. Yeah, I was very pleased. I mean, especially since we were only discussing this on Thursday night. And by the way, for those of you who missed We Chat on Thursday night, it's up on the GrenadaBroadcast.com website. Just go to the archives. But that's all we did. We discussed the possibility of setting up this GoFundMe campaign. And man, the next morning, I had people asking, how can I contribute? Yeah. Let us know when you guys are set up, etc., etc. So yeah, there is support out there. Irene Rattan says, I spoke to my cousin who's a teacher in St. Patrick's. that they took out $1,235.07 from her check. Irene, that's only one person. Sonia McKee-John says, I will support them to the fullest. Make the monster shame. So says Sonia. Ryan says, regarding our Grenada teachers, be not despondent, as God will look out for you. It is human nature to always find fresh cause for optimism. So says Ryan. Yeah? Yeah. Folks, the minute this thing is up and running, it takes time to set up a GoFundMe page. Keep your eyes on GrenadaBroadcast.com, and I'm sure you're going to be hearing it throughout the media all over this place. I'm sure that Bev is going to send out press releases to everybody. Okay? So, let's take another little break here, and then we'll come back with the Grenadian voice.
Spread some cheer and show you care with Grenlex Give-A-Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with Grenlex. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our Grenlex customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with Grenlex Give-A-Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Okie doke, folks. I saw some shoes there that I really, really like. It's now, let's see here, 18 and a half minutes away from 10 o'clock. And we do expect that very shortly we will have former president of the Rotary Club of Grenada, Mr. Rolf Hostialik, arriving, along with the public relations officer of the Rotary Club, Mr. Juan Bailey. And they're here to talk about carols by candlelight. So they should be here shortly. But right now, yeah, let's get to the Grenadian Voice. The editorial which appeared in this past week's edition of the Grenadian Voice is captioned, "Back to the Table." The hope of the nation may become a reality as the government and the trade unions resume talks on the issue of gratuity. The past 3 weeks were filled with excitement, drama, worry, stress, and anticipation for those who were directly and indirectly impacted by the industrial action. While the Conference of Churches made no public statement on the issue, it seems that the Catholic Bishop Clive Harvey has earned the respect of union members by stepping forward to assist. In a release, the union said they agreed to attend Tuesday's meeting based on the bishop's intervention and an invitation from Acting Labor Minister Honorable Anthony Boson. This begs the question, was that the first official invitation back to the table by a government official? It was noticeable, however, that the call to return to the table by members of the clergy was made independently rather than as a collective body. The Catholic bishop first made the call last Thursday. Then, the Alliance of Evangelical Churches a day later. Both also called for the nation to engage in prayer for a speedy resolution to the impasse. It was our expectation that the voice of the Conference of Churches would have been heard publicly, though it is our understanding that interventions were made privately. In sheer frustration over the fact that they were missing classes, students, mainly from the St. David's Catholic Secondary School, marched through the streets calling for a resolution and for teachers to return to the classrooms so that they could continue their curriculum. The fifth form students were most concerned that their school-based assignment, or SBAs, and the syllabus must be completed on time in preparation to write the CXC next year. This move by the students was viewed by some as disrespectful. They charged that the students were coerced by political activists, even though the students made it clear that the march was in no way politically motivated. The comment by the Honorable Nicholas Steele during the budget debate on the students' protest raised our eyebrows when he referenced the protest to be a dark period in our history. Minister Steele began his comments with, and I quote here, "History has shown us we mark certain days. Bloody Monday, bloody this or that. One thing that is significant, that affects us the most, what we find unforgiving is when children are used to send a message that parents should be discussing, unquote. He went on to say that children are used as pawns. Then we are going in the wrong direction when that happens. He suggested that there is a time and place for students. They should be marching against child abuse, for healthy lifestyles, etc. Adding, let the children march for their right, but not for adult disputes. So, this newspaper is wondering whether children have a right to march out of concern for the interruption of their education, since they are most disadvantaged by the dispute. In our history, Bloody Monday was the day when military personnel used force to break up a political meeting which resulted in members of the New Jewel movement being badly wounded. This comparison by the minister begs the question, was the minister issuing a subtle threat to the nation that his government may be forced to use military force if protest action escalates? It's also interesting that the Prime Minister chose to address the nation the night before the parties were expected to meet. The address, in essence, gave a summary of what transpired in the past weeks, rehashed what was already said by government officials and union representatives, and reiterated that government cannot meet the union's demands of 25% gratuity. Of greater interest is the comment made by the PM that if the strike continues, he and his cabinet ministers will take the lead in teaching the nation's children at established learning centers. While this was said with a straight face, many saw it as a bit of humor and doubted its practicality with the many schools that are on the island. Nevertheless, the PM in a media conference on Wednesday said he is dead serious about setting up those learning centers island-wide, and seemed confident that it is feasible. The Education Minister, Honorable Emmeline Pear, said the rollout is expected to commence from Monday, December 3rd. That's tomorrow. Strangely, Minister Pear saw the need to clarify the PM's proposal to set up those centers, saying that it was taken out of context and that it's strange that persons would think that the centers would be manned by the 15 cabinet ministers. She went on to explain that this came about due to prior discussions to set up a pool of substitute teachers for when teachers go off on leave. However, the PM's comments in his address seem to be in the context of the industrial action. We would like to give the government the benefit of the doubt in remaining committed to pension restoration and reform. It is our hope that the reform would not lead to less favorable conditions for retired workers. Though for weeks government maintained that 25% is unsustainable, it has since withdrawn the 2% offer, and the parties are now back at the table for fresh negotiations. We await what will be the agreed percentage or pension formula that will be sustainable to government and favorable to the unions. Okay? That's the editorial. Yeah, that's the editorial, which appeared in this past week's edition of the Grenadian Voice. Folks, it's 8 minutes away from the hour, and as you may have noticed, the Facebook feed is gone. Da-na-na-na-na. Well, we went 50 minutes, eh? Facebook feed is gone. So please jump to one of the other platforms, okay? Jump to one of the other platforms. Oh, yeah, and you wonder why I'm laughing. Now, just let me get back here to the comments that are coming in on Facebook. By the way, it looks like you guys are going to have to switch from Facebook to Rumble Chat on Grenada Broadcast. Margaret Francis says, Minister Steele obviously exists in an alternate reality. Students have always been at the forefront of protest movements in Grenada. But then again, when one is part of the oppressor class, what would one know about the struggle of the proletariat? So says Margaret. Cheryl says, carols by candlelight, as I knew it, had great school influence, which brings us back to curricular activities and involves teachers. How or will the Rotary Club get the business community involved in helping to alleviate the ongoing impasse? Well, I'll tell you what, Cheryl, that's a good question, and perhaps it's one that we can bring up when our guest, I see the first of our two guests, has arrived, Mr. Juan Bailey, and we're still awaiting the arrival of Mr. Rolf Hostialik. But I'll be sure to ask Mr. Bailey that question. Sonia McKee-John says, this is the most disgusting, disrespectful, disappointing government I ever came across in my life. Oh, Sonia. Anthea Rillo out there in Georgia says, what on earth is wrong with Nicholas Steele? He should read international news too. Recently, children in the U.S. held rallies and traveled the country, getting students who could and others to vote. They are tired of looking their friends, Anthea. They're tired of looking their friends to mass shootings, or losing, I guess she means. They're tired of losing their friends to mass shootings. He should not try to justify his government's faults by making additional ignorant statements. So says Anthea. Then, Ryan says, those who cannot remember the past and reckon with it are condemned to repeat it. Louise Grant says, teachers involved themselves in a strike that was unnecessary and uncalled for. Military force? That's what all you want. And that's why, to date, some people hated Keith to date. For some of you to get a victory is for him to use the guns like Bishop and or the Mongoose Gang like Gary. I hope he remains calm and firm. So says Louise Grant on Facebook. Pilgrims, tell you what, we're scooting right along here, and I'm just going to try to kill some time as we await the arrival of Rachael, past president of the Rotary of Grenada. We'll take a little break, and then we'll come on back with the editorial from the New Today.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and the cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas will give you no interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Welcome home.
Spread some cheer and show you care with Grenada's Give-A-Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with Grenada. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our Grenada customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with Grenada's Give-A-Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Okay, folks, right now, let's get into the final editorial for today, and this comes to you from the New Today. It was published this past week, and it's captioned, "The Seeds," it's captioned, "Pay Up. The seeds for the current impasse on the issue of pension and gratuity for public officers were sown many years ago by the politicians who have ruled Grenada over the years. It was the late Sir Eric Matthew Gary, the first real labor leader in Grenada, who had the foresight to ensure that a pension and gratuity plan was put in place for public officers when independence came into force on February 7th, 1974. The left-leaning People's Revolutionary Government, PRG, of late Prime Minister Maurice Bishop, purported to effect the Pension Act that was guaranteed by the Constitution when it launched the National Insurance Scheme in 1983. The PRG had suspended the Grenada Constitution after the March 13, 1979 coup d'etat against the elected Gary government, and the pension as provided for was affected when the NIS kicked in. The Bishop regime had selected a committee headed by Trinidad Attorney-at-Law, the late Alan Alexander, to draft a new constitution for Grenada. No one knew for sure what would have been included in the new PRG constitution on the issue of pension for public officers. However, When the Constitution was restored in 1985, the existing laws governing pension and public officers kicked back in, as any other law on pension, once in conflict with the Constitution, had to take second place, since the Constitution will always prevail. Unfortunately, Grenada was now faced with a situation in which the number of public officers on the payroll had swelled tremendously over the years from the pre-Eric Gary era. The PRG had promoted a state-controlled model of development, and as such, the state became a major employer of labor in the country. The collapse of the revolutionary government did not see a reversal in the activities of the state in hiring, and the buildup of workers on the public purse continued virtually unabated. Late Prime Minister Herbert Blaise, in the face of a bloated civil service, attempted to reduce the numbers on the payroll with a so-called golden handshake in the 1984-1990 period in order to try and reduce the numbers and to bring it in line with the capacity of the state to honor its commitments to the workforce on a monthly basis. The Blaise policy was literally thrown out the door and discarded with the advent of Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell at the helm of government, as he used not only government but the state-owned enterprises to provide employment for persons in exchange for election votes. The point is that under the Gary period in government, the public service was manageable and could afford to pay pension and gratuity for an estimated 1,000 to 1,500 civil servants. But the number has risen to an estimated 5,000 to 500, and with much higher salaries and obviously a higher pension figure. The New Today disagrees with the position being advanced by PM Mitchell that government is not under any legal obligation to make gratuity payments to public officers. The court has already ruled on this in past cases, to the extent that there is a ruling which states that a new pension formula can be worked out with public officers once it does not place anyone at a disadvantage from whatever is guaranteed to them under the provisions of the Constitution. This newspaper believes that the Prime Minister was under the mistaken belief that only those workers who were in the service between 1983 and 1985 were entitled to pension payments, and no one else. And the payment given to them earlier in the year brought an end to pension payments to public officers. It is clear that Prime Minister Mitchell felt that with this now out of the way, that he was going to the next stage, which was reforming of the current provisions guaranteeing pension for public officers to bring it in line with the Fiscal Responsibility Act, forced on him by the Washington-based International Monetary Fund as part of the Structural Adjustment Program. The unions took the correct decision of not entertaining discussion on a reduction of the 25% formula for their members. The Prime Minister could have avoided the past month of industrial crisis by agreeing immediately to the 25% formula, but coming up with a staggered payment plan for all public officers who qualified for pension, since not everyone will be leaving the service at the same time. The President General of the Technical and Allied Workers Union, TAWU, Senator Andre Lewis, announced to the nation in an address last week that in brokered talks, the unions were given assurances the union were given assurances that Dr. Mitchell had agreed to the 25% payment. It is not clear why this information was not communicated to the unions in the official talks that took place afterwards between the government team of negotiators and the union leadership. The New Today has no reason to doubt Senator Lewis, since PM Mitchell has not denied this assertion at all. If anything, the Prime Minister has increased or incensed the workers by his national address on Monday night, when he indicated that government will not be paying the 25% as being demanded by the unions. As the Prime Minister, who has been in charge of the nation's affairs for 18 plus of the last 23 years, he had more than ample time to go before the Privy Council as the final appellate court for Grenada to challenge many of the past court rulings on pension for public officers. Dr. Mitchell is out of time and cannot be allowed to hide under the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which cannot override pension provisions of the Constitution. The reality is that the country cannot sustain pension for public officers under the current construct, and the nations and government should start talking about the creation of a pension fund, since gone are the days when one can rely solely on the revenues of the state, which are clearly unsustainable. A pension fund should also be put in place for all statutory bodies to avoid state intervention when the time comes to pay the workers what is rightfully due to them. That, Pilgrims, is the editorial which appeared in this past week's edition of the New Today. Well, it's now 9.5 minutes after the hour, and we're going to scoot along here. I have just been informed that one of our two guests scheduled to be here to talk about carols by candlelight will not be joining us, but we do have another one here. If you take a look. See that face? There he is. Mr. Juan Bailey is here, and we're going to be chatting with him as soon as we take this little break. And then after that, we are supposed to have, and boy, I hope they all show up, we're supposed to have Mr. Andre Lewis, who is the president of the Technical and Allied Workers Union, Rachael Roberts, who is the president of the Public Workers Union, and Mr. Lydon Lewis, who's going to be joining us at about 11 o'clock, and he is the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers. All three are supposed to be sitting there in just a wee bit. So let's take a break, and then we'll come on back after this.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical, and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners, and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandance, and Lumber Department, Caranage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
Spread some cheer and show you care with Brenlex Give-A-Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with Brenlex. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our Grenlex customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with Brenlex Give-A-Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas will give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved one, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Welcome home.
Alrighty, folks, there he is, Mr. Juan Bailey. Mr. Juan Bailey, just wave and say hi to everybody out there on...
Morning, everyone. Morning. Hope everyone's having a fantastic Sunday.
Yeah, that's Mr. Bailey. What happened to our friend, Mr. Hoscielli?
I think he's gotten taken up with logistical arrangements down at Quarantine Park. But rest assured, he's working just as hard, just not in the air as I am.
Just this afternoon, this evening?
Yes, this evening, yes.
Yeah. Big evening. Yeah.
Big evening.
Boy, you know, I've been following Candles by Candlelight for a lot of years. You guys have been doing this for a long time, and there seems to be just as much excitement this year as there has been in the past, but I've heard through the grapevine that this year is going to be a bombshell. Talk to me about that, man.
Well, George, we're hoping so. This year is actually the 10th anniversary edition of Carols by Candlelight, which also synchronizes with the 50th anniversary of the Rotary Club of Grenada. So as part of our efforts to continue giving back to the community through this event, we're going bigger and better this year, because as you quite rightly pointed out, the event has been growing, and we just think it's our duty to give back to the community and ensure that families can come out, enjoy the Christmas spirit, go to the Christmas Wonderland, which we have set up. We have Santa with the toys for the kids. This year at 4:15 p.m. we're actually going to be airing a family movie, correction there. So strongly encourage the families to come out early. Food vendors, it seems we can never have too much food. We got the feedback from last year. So rest assured, we've more than doubled the number of food vendors this year, including some of Grenada's top restaurants. In terms of the entertainment, we're sticking with that formula. So we have some of Grenada's top local acts. We have Jefferson Ramirez, Tammy Baldio, Tamara Sembenard.
Tammy Baldio, is that Calypsonian from Trinidad?
No, Grenadian.
Don't you guys have somebody from Trinidad coming?
Yes, we do. Now, on our international acts, as well as our very own Vaughan, we also have Bindley B from Trinidad and Tobago, who some of you may know is a soca parang artist. His big hit is Santa's Looking for a Wife. Yeah, so he's our international headline act this year, along with Vaughan as well on the international side. So I have a parang band as well, and we also have a special performance for the Presentation Boys Choir.
Okay, so it's going to be... What time does it get started?
The gates open at 3 o'clock. The events begin at 4 o'clock. As I said, we kick off with a family movie, which we're screening. Santa's Grotto will be open, as well as the Christmas play area, for the children, and we run from 4 p.m. until 10 p.m.
Now, I understand that you guys caution people about parking. You only have limited parking down at Quarantine Point.
That's very correct, George.
So
Very
you're
correct.
you're suggesting to people that they park where?
Okay, what we've been doing for the past couple of years, we've actually had online parking available at the venue, which we've been pre-selling online via the Rotary Grenada website. Unfortunately, that is sold out, so there now is no parking available at the venue. But what we do have this year is a new and improved park and ride system. So patrons can park at the Real Valley Supermarket, as well as the Spice Island Beach Resort overflow parking lot. They can park there, and then we have a fleet of buses which will shuttle patrons to and from those locations to the venue. Now, when you reach to the venue, we do know that this is a family event. We cater to all ages. So we do know some of our elderly patrons may not be as mobile as they once were. So we also have an additional shuttle system for those persons who have difficulty walking long distances, to then shuttle them from the gate to the main venue itself inside Quarantine Park.
And you mentioned food a little while ago, and my eyes obviously lit up when you mentioned that. I was talking to somebody who's been helping you folks with your PR, Kellyanne, and
She's doing a fantastic job. Great thanks to her.
Yeah. And I understand that this year we may even see a wider variety of food.
Most certainly, George. What we've tried to do is, while it is the Christmas season, a lot of patrons have said to us that they want a wider variety. So we have, as well as the traditional Christmas cuisine, we'll have Indian cuisine, some European cuisine, a full mix. I mean, if I began to list you what we had, but rest assured, George, from the Christmas traditional meals all the way to some of our high-end dining options available on island, patrons have a full choice. And as an added addition this year, we have a special hot dog wagon. So,
hot dog wagon?
Yeah, we have a hot dog wagon graciously donated to us by one of our sponsors, Mr. George Cohen of California Island. So we have a proper New York-style hot dog wagon. We'll be vending hot dogs because we can never have too many hot dogs. It's one of those items that the kids love, adults love, so we have that this year as an additional attraction as well.
Send transportation for me. I'll be down for just the hot dogs. Yeah. Now, this is just one of the fundraising events you guys do every year.
Yes.
And you mentioned earlier on in the program that Rotary likes to give back to the community. Something like Candles by Candlelight. I imagine that you guys, Carols by Candlelight. I imagine that you guys raise a fair amount of money. And let's talk about some of the projects that you guys have been working on.
Sure. We've been working on a number of projects specific to Grenada. So above and beyond Rotary International's mandate, here in Grenada we've executed a number of projects. So in the schools, we've been executing what we call the WASH projects, which are water and sanitation and hygiene projects. So for example, at the Bel Air Government School, we would have completely renovated both the staff and the student bathrooms. We executed similar projects at Presentation Brothers College, as well as the Anglican Senior School. Also, we have our volunteer optometrist program, the VOSH program, where we run a number of free open clinics down at the Grenada Youth Center in August of this year. So we had a number of free open clinics at that location and other locations throughout the island where persons could come and get free optometrist checkups and partner with Clear Vision. So if based on those consultations, eyeglasses are needed, additional eye care, we've partnered with Clear Vision to assist in providing that back to those individuals who otherwise wouldn't be able to access quality health care. We work with NULO, CHORS, and a number of other organizations because Rotary is a service organization. Our motto is service above self. So we do a number of fundraisers throughout the year. But one thing which I want to make clear to you, George, and to your listeners is that for the Carols by Candlelight, we don't treat this as a traditional fundraising event. So while we do raise funds from this event, we try to run it at nominal costs. So in other words, this is really the Rotary Club of Grenada giving back to the community, thanking them for their support, and knowing that through their efforts they've supported these worthy projects. And we just thought it was important that we give back to the community, particularly at Christmas.
Some time ago, Quarantine Point had been transformed into sort of a village, a Christmas village. And I spoke with one of your former presidents about that because it's something that I personally attended, and I was just fascinated by all the lights and all of that. But then it disappeared. I heard through the grapevine that might be back or is back.
George, I can confirm that is back. Through the gracious patronage of the Benoit family, they're supplying the Christmas lights. So once it gets dark this evening, we're going to light those lights up in the Christmas park, which we termed our Christmas Wonderland. And we're going to leave those lights on after the event, going through for the Christmas season.
Until when?
I don't believe we set an exact date, but I think for at least the next 2 weeks, those lights will be on. So persons can come down to Quarantine Point and enjoy them.
Okay, so after tonight, would there be an admission fee to come on down to see the Christmas village?
We've been having some discussions with a number of our sponsors because they have some thoughts for how they could use the park to really maximize those lights being present. So we haven't finalized those details as yet as to what their thoughts are in terms of if there be admission or not to cover their costs. But from the Rotary Club standpoint, we want to make the park available to the public. So of course we wouldn't be doing this every night where one of our sponsors or other partners will be using the park, but the lights will be on and available for persons to come down and visit and enjoy.
How long is the show tonight likely to last? You said the gates are open at 3?
Yeah, gates open at 3 o'clock. Official start time is 4 p.m. and we're carded to finish at 10 p.m.
Okay, so 6 hours?
Yep.
That's a lot of show.
Definitely it is. So that's why I say it's giving back, and the ticket cost is only $30 for adults and $10 for children because again, we're not looking to really do a lot of fundraising from this event. Okay. So we really are committed to keeping the cost manageable so that those families who may have 3-4 children, it's affordable for them to come out. We really are sensitive to that, and we want to make sure that as many persons as possible can come down and enjoy the event. Because one of the few family events that's available for the season where you can take out the kids, you get good wholesome entertainment.
You know, as you stepped in here today, Juan, you may have heard me reading a comment on Facebook from somebody named Cheryl Jarvis, and I promised her that I would fire this one off at you. She says here, carols by candlelight, as I knew it, had great school influence, which brings us back to curricular activities and involves teachers. How or will the Rotary Club get the business community involved in helping to alleviate the ongoing impasse?
Well, George, the Rotary Club, we're a service organization, first and foremost above everything else. So our focus is on improving our communities. So through lots of partnerships with our business partners, I can tell you for tonight's event, we have over 50 major sponsors and over 100 sponsors in total, both business organizations as well as individuals. So through those partnerships, we work directly with various community groups to try and help the disadvantaged and those who need that type of assistance. Rotary, by its very nature, we're an apolitical organization. So we don't get involved in the politics of the day or have any political affiliations whatsoever. So it wouldn't be appropriate for us as a club to get directly involved in any sort of formal role. But I'm sure, as I can say, we can join with all Grenadians in hoping that this current impasse is resolved to the advantage of all parties involved and for the betterment of Grenada as a whole.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I have a call here, and it's from somebody who's supposed to be my guest in just a few minutes. So I'm going to take a little break here, and I'll come back and talk with you in just a wee bit about this, okay?
Spread some cheer and show you care with Grenlec's Give-A-Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with Grenlec. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our Grenlec customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with Grenlec's Give-A-Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and the cocoa balls from Diamond Estate, Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Spread some cheer and show you care with Grenlec's Give-A-Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with Grenlec. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our Grenlec customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with Grenlec's Give-A-Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Alrighty, folks, I'm back with my guest, Mr. Juan Bailey, who is the Public Relations Officer with the Rotary Club of Grenada. Now, before I get back to Juan to do a little wrap on this, a little while ago you may have seen me trying to answer Smartphone. Yeah, well, that was Senator Andre Lewis. He called to say that he's going to be just a few minutes late. He's actually on his way here, but he's going to be in maybe about 10, 15 minutes or so, okay? And at 11 o'clock, we are also expecting Mr. Lydon Lewis, who's the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers. However, in the meantime, she has come in here this morning wearing black and yellow. As always, she joins us directly from church, Rachael Roberts, who is the president of the Public Workers Union. Before we get to Rachael, though, let's get back to Juan. Juan, first of all, thank you to Rotary for the work that you guys are doing. I know that you do a heck of a lot for the community in this country, and for years, it's like a staple for years. Rotary has been kind enough to come in here on this program and share with us, what they're doing. I really appreciate that. I want you to just take a couple of minutes here and rehash everything that can be expected down at Quarantine Point this evening. Beautiful setting, and I hope you guys have great weather. I hope we have a great sunset as well. Nice place to watch sunsets.
Indeed it is. Thanks for that, George. So just a quick wrap-up. So this afternoon, what you can expect, our Christmas Wonderland, which is decorative lights graciously donated by the Benoit family. At 4:15 p.m., we'll be showing a family movie. So bring the kids on down early, take in the movie. The staple of Carols by Candlelight is a professionally produced concert. It's actually produced by Ricardo Kings Douglas.
Yeah.
Number of local acts, international acts, Juan and Bindi B headlining. In addition to that, we're doing our traditional bonfire, which we've added a few years ago. So you can bring on down the marshmallows, roast them by the bonfire. A little bit of North American Christmas traditions. We have the wine lounge for the adults, and there's a separate kids bar. We have a photo booth where you can take photos with your friends, family to commemorate the occasion. This year, as part of our 50th anniversary celebrations, we're also having a firework display as well this year.
Oh, really?
Yep, doing fireworks as well. Should be bigger and better. We also have a holiday boutique where you can purchase gift items, Christmas decorations, other things for Christmas. And also, we actually have a Rotary merchandise stand as well. So we have the blankets you can lay down on the grass, take in the show. You got the picnic chairs and some other Rotary branded items which sponsors have graciously provided, and all those proceeds will go directly back to our community projects. So that's it in a nutshell. So I just want to encourage everybody, come down, support the Rotary Club, kick off the Christmas season with a fantastic family affair. And this is our way of once again of saying thank you to the general public, the business community, all the individuals who supported Rotary throughout the year, for the support you've given us to enable us to do the great work which we do. So on behalf of the club, thank you.
As I listen to you, I can't help but think, this is one aspect of Christmas that people who attend this thing this evening, they aren't likely to forget, especially the kiddies. But you have a lot of stuff in there for the adults as well. And I'm so happy to hear that you guys have involved Ricardo Kings Douglas. This man is a great choreographer. And you know that when he puts things on, he does it very professionally.
Excellent. Yeah, he always does an excellent job.
Yeah.
That's why we're so happy to have him on board.
Congratulations, congratulations. It's going to be a nice time. Okay, Mr. Bailey, sir, thank you very much for joining us.
And thank you for having us again, George.
Anytime, anytime, anytime. I just have a great admiration for the work that Rotary does, and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
If at all possible, Georgie Porgy is going to try and sneak down there.
I look forward to seeing you, George. I'm going to hold you to it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks again.
Okay, folks, we're going to take another little break here, and we'll come on back with whoever. Rachael, yellow and black. Just a wee bit.
Spread some cheer and show you care with Grenada's Give-A-Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with Grenada. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our Grenada customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with Brenlex Give-A-Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate, Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, we are back. It's now, let's see here, 21 minutes away from the hour of 11 o'clock. And take a quick look. I just want you to see that I wasn't kidding when I told you that she's here. There she is, Rachael. Yellow and black this morning. And I just found out that she actually did not come here directly from church this morning, but we'll deal with that in a minute. We're awaiting the arrival of the president. There you have the president of the Grenada Public Workers Union. And I just heard the door slamming out there, so I believe that he is, yes, he has arrived. Before you even sit down, Mr. Lewis, could I have a big smile, please? Yeah, he has to go purchase a smile. Good to see you, Andre. Have a seat, sir. And we'll get to Andre and Richard in just a short while. And then we're also going to be joined by Mr. Lydon Lewis. He's going to be in here. He's going to be in here at about 11 o'clock. Now, It's been a little while since I've acknowledged those of you around the world who are joining us. I can't go, there's such a huge list this morning, I can't go through the entire list. But I'm going to rattle off the names of some of the places where you're listening to us this morning, just to give Andre a little time to get settled in, okay? Now, I see that you folks this morning are out there in Oshawa, Ontario, Virginia Beach in Virginia, Delray Beach in Florida, Wilde, Barbados, and these names I'm only going to try to call once because there are a lot of duplicates in all of those cities. Delray Beach in Florida, Ottawa in Ontario, Canada, Brooklyn, New York, Stuttgart in Germany, Ruislip in England, Wanstead in England, Brampton, Ontario. Skip all those, they're duplicates. Washington, D.C. Mr. Trump wants to find out how the industrial relations are going in Grenada, eh? Okay. Lewisham in England, and I can guarantee you I'm going to be hearing from John and Carriacou telling me that I pronounced that wrong. Well, so bad. Kitimat, that's in Canada. Roseau, Dominica, Richland, Virginia, Waterloo, Ontario, Charlotte, North Carolina, Las Vegas, Nevada, Port of Spain and Trinidad, Windlesham, and that's in England, Mercier in Canada, Pickering in Ontario, more people out there in Germany, North York, Ontario, San Fernando, Trinidad, Montreal, Quebec. This one is in France, Alkmaar in France, Lanham in Maryland, Fort Lauderdale in Florida, Thornhill, Ontario, Etobicoke, Ontario, Ellenwood in Georgia, Miege, and that's in Switzerland. A number of people out there in Miege this morning. St. John's, Antigua, Bridgetown, Barbados, Brandenton, Brandenton in Florida, Wembley in England, Toronto is with us, Manhattan, New York, Ottawa again, Springfield Gardens in New York, Detroit, Michigan, Manchester in England, Tunapuna in Trinidad, Kingstown, St. Vincent, Thornhill, Ontario, Pigots in Antigua, Barbuda, Maple in Ontario, London in Ontario, Roseau, Dominica. Hey folks, enough. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. As always, we really do appreciate having you with us this morning. And now, take a look. Now there he is, making some final notes. See that, gentlemen? That's Mr. Andre Lewis. Mr. Lewis, just wave and say, there he goes, say good morning. Andre, thank you very much for joining us. Sorry for the short notice, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys got whatever you have on your chest off your chest as you start a new week. I see that you guys have taken a very positive step in going back to the negotiating table. And we're also seeing some comments which have made the public, and I'm judging by the response on social media, a little bit uneasy. So first of all, let me hear you start, Andre, about your decision to go back to the table.
First of all, let me say good morning to you, Mr. Grant.
George, please, sir.
Okay, sometimes I can't help it.
I know. Yeah. But you don't mind if I call you Andre?
No, that's, well, you are much older than me and I expect you to call me Andre.
Knock it off!
I go to those traditions. Yes,
I understand. I respect that. So you and I are pretty much neighbors, man. If you're from Lydon, I am from just under Lydon. You know a place called Dunmore?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, anyway, thank you for having me on today. Viewing and listening public, let me say good morning to you. And also wish you all the best for the Christmas season.
Thank you, sir.
This period. Thanks for having us here. With my sister and comrade, Rachael, president of the Public Workers Union. Well, we are going back to the table, on the table, or the new table as pronounced by Bishop Harvey. This is always what we wanted. As I said on a previous program, this matter must be resolved around the table. And it is in keeping with what we had originally said was agreed upon, the 25%. And we will be discussing ways and means of achieving that objective. But I want to place on record, once again, our profound appreciation for the role played by Bishop Clyde Harvey in having parties where we are today.
You believe that was very influential, eh?
I think, I know, not just think, I know because I was personally involved in it. Although there was a very strong possibility and probability that the address on the Monday night before the meeting very much could have derailed the process, but our leadership rose to the occasion.
And despite the many urgings of our members, we went back to the table. So we have received from the government the promised data that we received that on Friday. We now await the government's proposal on Tuesday. The unions and staff associations will be meeting on Thursday to discuss among us the government's proposals, and then we meet with them on Friday. I'm just giving this broad synopsis to indicate that our intention all along has been to be at the table, to negotiate, because involved in this discussion is not only the aspect of the 25%, but other aspects as to qualification, as to when the pension will be paid, etc., etc. So it requires the parties to be at the table. So yes, there are indications, and we have gone back there in good faith. We are prepared to allow everything that happened in the past to go down that way. However, we must place on record, and I want to salute the teachers for the courage that they have shown, members of the Public Workers Union who have been burnt in the deduction. And I know there have been all kinds of discussions as to the legality, illegality of this deduction. But I want to say one thing. When we went back to the table, we went to the table on the urging of Bishop Clyde Harvey. And we did not go on the table with having any resolution to any matter. And therefore, unless there is a particular reason, as it appears, to try to teach or try to intimidate the brave public servants, and in particular the teachers, because the teachers form the bulk of the participants in this action. You know, I want to salute them. I really, really want to salute the teachers. I know it is not easy, but there is something that says, no pain, no gain. Yes. However, the fact that so many people were impacted, people who did not participate, for whatever reason, in the industrial action, either they were on maternity leave, either they were on study leave, either they were on an annual vacation leave, even if they were hospitalized, as has happened. And the very fact that the government has to now retract and make an appeal to try to undo what they did must be an indication that what they did was not proper. So, as you have indicated, we are on the negotiating table. And this has always been our intention, because at the end of the day, what we are fighting for, and I want to repeat, what we are fighting for is for the benefit of our people. If there are 2,000 teachers, and I'm using this as an example, 2,000 by 5, there's about 10,000 people. If we take an average household of about 4 to 5, an average household in Grenada about 4 to 5, 2,000 teachers will give you 8 to 10,000 people. And you combine that with another, 2,000 public officers. So if you take about 4,000 workers who will be directly impacted right now, you're talking about close to 20,000 people. And the very fact that what we are looking at is the aspect of getting our gratuity up front. And for those who say that this gratuity is a loan, I want to respectfully and strongly disagree with this. This is something that has been earned. You only earn this after 26 and 2/3 years of service. Now, there's an arrangement that you can pay it over the lifetime of the person after retiring in monthly installments, or you can take a portion up front. If you get it up front, it is not a loan. What it does, once you take it up front, you get a reduced pension. You get a reduced pension because this is what you have already qualified for. So those who argue and say that it is interest-free loan, the advantage for the government is that that payment that is made up front, that worker does not get any interest on it. So if, for instance, the worker who takes a monthly contribution every time there is a salary increase, that worker pension goes up. So it is a savings for the government. It is a savings for the government. So it is important to note that those who try to make us look as though that we are just greedy and we just want to grab everything up front, this is earned. The first qualification to get it is 26 and 2/3 years of service. This is not your regular private sector or commercial arrangement where you go to the bank to take a loan. The question that would arise, what is the security for the loan in the bank? You have to have some property or something so. But in the public service, once you are regularized, once you are appointed by the Public Service Commission or the Judicial and Legal Services or the Police Commissioner, based on the different bodies, once you make 26 and 2/3 years of service, you qualify for a pension, and in that arrangement, there is what you call an upfront payment that you can take. And when you take that, the government monthly expenses reduces significantly for the next 12 and a half. So we can develop on that, but we are glad to be on the table, and we look forward with high anticipation at resolving this matter.
You know, you talk about high anticipation, and I guess that's very encouraging news for the public. And you mentioned earlier on in this conversation that you returned to the negotiating table in good faith and goodwill, okay? Now, you're saying that in an environment where the government has made it clear that they're standing firm on their 25%, yet we also heard that they are backing off on the 2%. Your reading.
Okay, amongst the noise, we have to, as leaders, learn to decipher things. And despite the atmosphere that has been created on the night that the Prime Minister made his either famous or infamous address, I'm addressing the content because it is the right of the Prime Minister to address the nation on matters of national interest. As a matter of fact, I thought it was a golden opportunity to set the tone for the way forward. Yes, the 2% is off the table. And then when I say anticipation, high anticipation, this is where we are coming from. Despite the noises that are making, the government must be the one, if ever, to disarrange or rearrange our expectation. We are going there very hopeful. That's how we are approaching it. Going there very hopeful, and I expecting the government to do likewise. Obviously, it is a negotiations, but as I said, in the midst of all the different remarks, certainly by the Prime Minister, he have repeated that he is not against the 25%, but it is against how it will be paid. And that for us, when I listened to him, and I saw the old Prime Minister back in the 90s and 2000s when we were on the battlefield, right? When the unions and the then NNP administration were at loggerheads and fighting, and I saw snippets of this. However, coming out of this, I heard, I am not against the 25%. The government is not against the 25%. However, we are concerned as to how it will be paid or its arrangement. And this is what we have said. We have always said that we are standing with our 25%. The worker who is so qualified is entitled to make that choice to receive that 25% portion, that quarter of the gratuity of the pension paid up front. But we are willing to discuss. We are willing to discuss how it should be paid. And we are open for this. And that is why I said I look forward with high anticipation If you ask me, do I think the first meeting would solve the problem? I don't think so. I'll be very frank with you. I'll be happily surprised, but I want the public to know we are not going there, and I am not going there as an individual, expecting. As a matter of fact, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But I look forward with anticipation to the proposals from the government on Tuesday, because it is a negotiating process and understanding the positions that the government side is coming from. I just want to look to see.
But you're still insisting that you do have a method. You can explain to government how they can in fact do this. What is so encouraging this morning is hearing you guys. You seem to have an optimistic, upbeat tone about you this morning. That hey, we can work this out.
I have always approached George, almost a Mr. Grant again, so you have to forgive me. I have been involved in many different battles, industrial battles, over the past almost 30 years. Yes, talking about industrial battles. From the date of my employment, I fought many battles at my workplaces. And I've always approached each of those fights with a deep conviction that what we are doing is right. We do not get into this because we just want to create confusion. We get into this because we want to better the lives of our working people. And we know that there are contradictions, because the employer, in this case the government, and the employer many times in the private sector, are looking to hold on to as much as they could, for whatever reason. And there'll be contradictions, there'll be conflicts. But what is important is how you manage it. There are times you have to go to the streets, as we did on the 20th. I think it was on 20th of November. We went on the street, and as we had planned to do on the 28th, which would have been last Wednesday, but the intervention of Bishop Clyde Harvey, and it is not no arbitration as the government and other people are saying, because they had tried to force us to arbitration on the morning of the 26th. Yes, but the arrangement to go to the table was already done over that weekend. So what got us back to the table was Bishop Clyde Harvey, and I'm always optimistic, extremely optimistic, that in this mission that we are involved in the fight for the betterment of our people, and it is not just about the unionized workers that we represent. The labor movement has played a leading and critical role in the betterment of all of our working people. Whether you're unionized, whether you're organized or you're disorganized. As a matter of fact, many of the things that we do, if not all, as we donged it to the benefit of the unorganized or the disorganized. The labor code that we have that sets the minimum standards didn't come about because governments and private sector just wanted to have some minimum conditions, but it is because of the many fights of the labor movement over the many years leading from the 1915 revolution of Eric Gary, and the Grenada Revolution, right, and the different confrontations that we have had. It is felt that it is better to have an organized way to address industrial issues. The labor code benefits more the unorganized workers than the organized workers, in the sense that organized labor is able to sit at the table and hammer out collective agreements. The labor code recognizes that you can have better terms and conditions. So we give our commitment that in our fight for organized labor, it is also a fight for the broader societal working class. Yes? And obviously, we are in the vanguard. Because we are organized labor, we are in the vanguard. So that when we fight for betterments, these are the standards in which the unorganized or the disorganized would have to look up to. And we will be in a position that in the non-unionized places to try to get for them these benefits that we fight for in an organized way. So there ain't no difference. There ain't no difference between us, the organized labor, and organized. Only that we belong to an organization, a trade union, but we all belong to the same working class, my brothers and sisters, comrades all.
Over the last week or so, again, I stress that you're being optimistic, you're being very positive, but over the last week we've heard that the Prime Minister has been going around the country selling this idea to his minions. Okay? How do you guys feel when you hear that happening?
Okay, because I'm not too clear on the meaning of minions.
Okay, to his supporters.
Okay, good. I prefer, right, okay.
Thank you.
To his supporters.
I correct
and other
that.
interested groups, because I do not want to disrespect anyone. I'm not saying that what you did, but I wanted to be clear. This has been of tremendous concern to us. Certainly as leaders, we have to be able to read the signs. And therefore it has crossed our minds. If we are in this together, if we are on the table negotiating, looking to come to a particular solution, what is the need to be going around holding those discussions that is slanted against the labor movement?
Well, that's the point I'm
Yes,
getting at.
however, no, but you see, as leaders, we have a responsibility not to fall into this trap. And therefore, to be extremely blunt with you, to be extremely candid with you, it has crossed our minds that it is quite possible. I'm not saying that this is the case, but obviously, because we have to read into the different environment under which we are operating, as to whether or not in some people's mind, I do not want to say the Prime Minister's mind, yes, in some people's mind, it may be better to have open confrontation. Because if we are at the table, as leaders, we have to give consideration to this. If we are at the table and these sort of activities are taking place, yes, we have to give consideration to what are the implications. We have resolved to stay at the table. If we end up off the table, it will solely be the activities of the government. The labor movement, the unions and staff associations and the unions, I'm speaking here about the unions, because the staff associations, as the police and the prison, cannot take part in industrial action. So I'm making a comment here relative to the unions. Grenada Union of Teachers, Public Workers Union, and the Technical and Allied Workers Union will not want to do anything or will not do anything that will cause us to get off the table. If that happens, it will be on the urging or the insistence of the work of the government. And this is why it is important, and this is why we are concerned for these very sad activities that you have spoken about. And therefore I want to make this appeal to the supporters of the New National Party. I'm making a special appeal to you, colleagues, comrades. Many of you have fought battles with me. Many of you have fought battles together with the labor movement as we fight for your benefit. This battle that we are fighting for is not about green or yellow. This battle that we are fighting for is not about white or red. This battle is about bettering your life when you go into retirement. Just as how the politicians, not just the NNP politicians, but the NDC politicians, just as when they leave office, after one term of 4 years, they get a gratuity. And just as how they leave office, whether the NNP, NDC, GLP, whatever P that you may have, just as how when they leave office, after a minimum of 2 terms, which can be 8 years, they will go home with a gratuity, a huge gratuity. And at age 55, they will start to receive a pension from the state. This is what we are fighting for you, my colleagues, my comrades. This is not about party. This is not about being against the government. It is this government and it is this employer that is confronting the issue. But we are not doing this for any political reason. We are doing this so that when you retire, you can use your gratuity to pay off some of your mortgage. You can use your gratuity to help your kids in school. The vast majority of us, and I repeat, the vast majority of us shall retire with a mortgage over our head. And when you receive 70% of your last salary, it will not be enough. I will bet anyone it will not be enough to meet your monthly commitments towards your mortgage and at the same time allow you to live a decent standard of living. Because when you got your mortgage, it was based on your present salary or your salary. Remember that when you retire, you may still have your life insurance to pay. You may still have your home insurance to pay. You may still have your land tax to pay. All these expenses will be there. And therefore, if you can get your money that you have earned based on your 26 and 2/3 years of service, if you can get a portion of that upfront, it will go a very long way in helping you. And this is all that we commit to do. We commit to working towards ensuring that you have a better standard of living when you retire versus not getting a gratuity and having a reduced income through your pension, that it will be very difficult to meet your expenses.
All right. First of all, before I move on here, just let me say that I did not mean to be disrespectful, but like a lot of other Grenadians, I am concerned when I see one side taking a reconciliatory step and another side an adversarial step. That bothers me.
Well, let me just make the point. It is, even if the supporters of the NNP is meeting with their leadership, It does not mean that these supporters are against what the workers are doing.
Right.
I want to make that point. Colleagues, my brothers and sisters in the NMP, I have nothing against you. Go to your meetings. Support your party. Defend your party. But understand that what we are doing is not against party or supporters. It's about the working people of this country.
Well, like I mentioned, I think it was last week or whenever I mentioned to Rachael that, you know, I have known people over the years to be who are very, very anti-labor movement, anti-unions, but who are coming out very vocally in support of what you guys are doing. And I mean, that, and it's on its own, is phenomenal. Rachael, you've been sitting here very quiet, young lady. Let me hear you.
These statements by our Honorable Prime Minister has been one that has been very worrying, because as a Prime Minister, you would want to unite your citizens. You would want to bring your country together as one, because we are all one people under one flag. And we have to work together, united, to aspire, build, and advance as one people. And therefore, it is very sad that that situation should occur when persons are just struggling for something that they deserve, something that is their retained earnings that they would go home with, because pension is actually your retained earnings. And as Brother Andre said, we as Grenadian people must never take this in a partisan manner, because it would affect every Grenadian. And we're not just doing it for the ones today or the ones who have already left without actually getting a benefit, but it is also for the future generation. Because our children who may be coming into the public service after us, our grandchildren who may be coming into the public service, great-grand, what kind of public service do we want to leave for them? Do we want them to actually go through the same disadvantage that we are going through? And as the children listen, I hope they appreciate what is happening today, because whatever happens would actually benefit them in the future. Because, and in addition to that, pension benefits are something that the ILO gives people the right to agitate for and the right to get. Because if we look at the Philadelphia Convention, which was initiated in 1946, we know that the Philadelphia Convention actually gives the right for an age pension to every person. And if we even dig further into the ILO, we would see that it speaks to decent work, and decent work speaks to social security. So the fact that we are actually fighting for this benefit is something that shouldn't be seen in a negative light and be blown out of proportion by our leadership. However, we understand that what the leadership is saying, that however, what we are saying is that all people have that right. All persons in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, public servants, have a right to pension and gratuity, and they must never be disadvantaged. And we beg of our Prime Minister not to derail the process, because it certainly feels that we are as if we are in an election battle, as if we are in an election campaign, and that is does not augur well for negotiations. It does not speak well for us as a people who want to have a united effort as people of Grenada moving forward for the betterment of our country, for the economic and social development of our country. And when you look at Grenada, we are all related. Everybody in Grenada is related to someone. So when you pit us one against each other, you actually pitting families against each other. And that is something that is a no-no, that is a red flag that really does not augur well. And as Bishop Clive Harvey said, we are going back to a new table. And as we go back to that new table, the principles guiding the new table should be one where we should seek to develop trust, should be one where we should seek to develop goodwill. As we say, we go back in good faith. And we hope that our employer also have the same ideology as we go back to the table with them. Because as a trade union movement, we are people who, once we are at the table, we try to have an open mind. We try to negotiate for win-win solutions. We try to negotiate for the good of our membership as well as for the good of our nation. And therefore, we plead and we beg and we ask all our citizens of Grenada not to indulge in the partisan approach for this effort, but to look at it as the workers' cause, because it affects all of us. Pension is something that would affect all of us in our senior ages, when we are at home and we have to pay those medical bills and all the other bills that Brother Andre alluded to.
All right, Rachel, I'll tell you what, thank you very much for taking the high road. I just want everybody to see that we have now been joined by another young man. Would you smile, please, Mr. Lewis?
Yes, hi, George. Good morning, and good morning to your listeners and viewers.
We're gonna take a little break here and come back with Lydon, who is the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers, right after this.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical, and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners, and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandance, and Lumber Department, Caranage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate, Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, we are back, and as you have seen, we have now been joined by Mr. Lydon Lewis, President. Boy, he's at the center of all of this thing, you know. A lot of fingers are being pointed as him as the person who started this. I don't know whether or not that's true, but I'll say one thing: he had the guts to take a stance. Mr. Lewis, good morning, sir, and how art thou?
George, and good morning to your listeners and viewers. Certainly, probably more than fingers are pointing at me right now. But, you know, I'm always reminded that if you stand for nothing, you would fall for anything. And the issue of pensions and gratuity is a serious one. And we could not afford and allow this to happen. It is something that I gave my members a commitment to at a couple of conferences ago, and I intend to see it as far as I could get. George, the issue of pension and gratuity, and some people are taking claim and fame to the discussions. Two things would have happened. The Humlin Armstrong judgment would have happened. And the Humlin Armstrong judgment is now being called to play, and for several reasons. However, the other reason is that of age. Now, governments before could have afforded to kick the can down the road. the can no longer be kicked down the road, because the people are now retiring to the effects of the pension issue. And so it is important to note that fact, that there was no way that this government could avoid that. So whether they see it as a positive or a negative, these are the facts. More people are retiring now after 30, 35 years, and more people are feeling the adverse effects. So it has to be dealt with. And this is where we are at now. And it's important to point out that the government did not put hand in the sky and say, well, come and let's do this thing together. It was only the fact that our members are retiring, the trade union movement wanted something done. And yes, the Prime Minister would have indicated that he is willing to do something also. So it is not a one-sided thing as some persons are making it out to be. And it's a critical one for us at this time.
You know, I know you missed a little bit of the conversation. We've been chatting here for about half an hour, but something I pointed out to Lydon a little while ago is that when I'm sitting here listening to these guys, I'm hearing a conciliatory tone. I'm hearing optimism. You know, things could work. You're not surrendering. You're not backing down, but you're hopeful. Okay.
Certainly, and persons must understand that trying to find a solution is not a show of weakness. In fact, it's a show of strength. Because I don't know any war that was won on the battlefield. You had to go around the table to discuss. And you had to go to put your cards over and see what could happen. Because remember, if you go back in history, there is always a treaty of this and a treaty of that, meaning that the persons came around the table. We are prepared to struggle. We are prepared to fight for equal rights and justice. However, we understand the importance of going to the table. Now, this pension issue could be resolved very simply in a judge, with an undertaking to admit that up to the formula, and let's see how we can pay. How is it that governments and union can come to an arrangement and say, okay, I owe you $100,000, just for argument's sake, in gratuity payment, but I can't pay all up front. So I'm going to give you 50, and then in the next year or two, we'll work out a deal to pay the next 50. But you can't do as if you don't have a commitment towards the pension and gratuity. And I think this is a sour point. So we are willing to go to the table. However, as trade unionists, we cannot give up our right, our spirit to fight a struggle. We can't.
Would you be happier if you saw a more conciliatory tone coming from the administration? You're prepared now to go into negotiations big time this week, okay? Wouldn't it make things a little bit easier if you didn't have to deal with some of the rhetoric that's out there?
Well, certainly, especially, I don't want to say especially for me, because we've not discussed our personal thing. But it has come to the point where persons are calling certain radio stations and insinuating threats. You know, I understand that somebody said in a radio program last week that I need to be lining by Lacqua in a coffin. I mean, that radio station has done absolutely nothing about that. So it is affecting your lifestyle. I'm one who goes out, who would look for where my friends are. I have to be careful now. The supporters are casting negative remarks when I drive past or I stop. So it has taken on a new life. And it is apparent that they're twisting it so much to say as if it's become a political issue. And that's not the case. Pension is a right. It's something that affects all of us. And so to narrow it down to become enemy of the state number one, or we as leaders to be labeled that way, it's difficult. And we all have families, so our families keep looking out for us. We are prepared to negotiate a solution. We're prepared to go back to the table. However, we cannot become intimidated. We cannot become battle shy or battle weary. It is what we do as trade unionists, so we have to keep our struggles. We have to keep our members at the forefront. This is not for me as it seems to be made out. This is not about me. We have a battle room in the GUT. And when we go to the battle room and the members say, boss, that's the way we're going, I have no option You know, I'm brave enough to carry out the mandate. And it seems as though it's a one-man thing, but it's not. We've started the struggle. And GUT did not go this thing alone. In fact, before we took the action, my colleagues here, well, you all were aware. We came to a meeting, we discussed it. I said, look, we're going to fire that first shot. And they said, yes, we're in it together, and then we'll join at different phases. If government doesn't want that, then the nation loses.
Yeah, I hear you. I want to turn to the chat box on Grenada Broadcast for just a minute. Somebody in New York, MSF, has put a comment here which I want you guys to respond to. She says, you know, there's a moral, philosophical issue that always troubles me. How does someone who chose not to engage in the struggle for better working conditions, salaries, etc., then accept and enjoy the benefits gained from that struggle waged by others? Shouldn't he or she who labors hold the reins? Whatever happened to a man, whatever happens to if a man or a woman didn't work, then they shouldn't eat. Margaret, I'm trying to make sense of this, girl. Just some of the questions that have always troubled me. Just thinking out loud. No response needed. She says she doesn't need a response. But do you understand what she's saying?
Well, Joe, my friends have been talking for a while, so let me go forth at this one. Certainly, and it's a discussion point even within my union. And I've had to ask them to stay calm. People are a different conviction. There are some people who would be like that. Let me tell you, George, we lost, and we lost heavily. I know it's in the region of $1.3 million for teachers. But I've had teachers who say to me, boss, Mr. Prez, we'll do it all over again if we call to do it. Because they understand what it's like. They understand the struggle. While there are others who are now questioning the union and where we spend our dues and strike fund as propagated by the political directorate. And so we've had to say to them that this is a struggle for everyone. This is a struggle that will impact them on retirement. And so it is historic. It has always been the case that there will be those who would stand by the side and come in and reap the harvest and do not want to plant. A lot of reggae artists would have sung about that. You know, some people just wouldn't plant the corn, but they would reap.
Yeah.
It's something that we have to deal with. This is our society. But those who are prepared to labor and hold the rein, those who are prepared to make the sacrifices, I'm heartened to know that they're in the majority. And I'm so proud of the members of the Grenada Union of Teachers that I feel that I'm part of something bigger than just a trade union movement. I'm part of a brotherhood. Because teachers are saying, I feel heat, I can't pay my rent. But I know the value of this struggle, so I'm willing to take the heat so that later I can have a better life.
You know, this brings me back to something we discussed. Rachael has been in here with me a couple of times in recent weeks, and this is something we talked about some time ago. What is happening now, the reaction that you guys seem to be getting from the public really doesn't have everything to do with gratuity and pensions. You know, I don't want to use the word smokescreen. I used the word a little while ago. Lydon had to draw my attention to, not Lydon, Andrea had to draw my attention to a word that I used a little while ago, which could be misinterpreted. But smokescreen. This goes deeper than just fighting for gratuity. I think you guys talking principle here, by and large. Principle?
Certainly. And let me tell you what has happened. Government or persons on the other side have used a lot of red herrings. So they're going to throw a sexy, juicy topic out there so people run after that, forgetting what the discussions are about. And then they use the same smoke screen. They jumble up so many other issues. Issues of old people losing this and economic downfall and Imanis would have to send home and all the concerns that they imagine Grenadians would have coming out of money that everybody forget. But hey, this is a GATT treaty. You don't have to pay all these people at the same time. This is not increase of salary. For example, our survey shows that probably just around 130, 140 persons would retire next year. GAT30 only speaks to them. Historically in Grenada, George, less than 2% of the working population retires before 60. It means, therefore, that for persons like myself, as Sister Rachael, you're not talking to me for the next 12, 13 years before you retire from the public service. So to figure that this is a one-time thing, I've heard people, past people, and say, LL, I hold 25% you want now. Why you can't take the 2% and later you'll get the 23? And I'm like, seriously? They really understand what the issues are? But you understand that I've always said that propaganda is a medicine of ignorance. It feeds ignorance. And when people are not so well tuned with the issue of GAT30, people fall for this sort of rumors and propaganda. And we've always tried to keep it central. This issue is about GAT30. This issue is about persons who will retire later. All of the public service is not grabbing onto that 25% right away and running to the moon. We have nowhere to go. We see what is happening in America, in England, in Canada. We're not going anywhere, and you don't have to pay us that money now. Let's talk about those people who are retiring, let's say at 60 and a little before that, and how they can survive these difficult times. And we've always said that, but instead of speaking to the issues, a lot of things are thrown out there. The personal attack on the leaders. So people forget that the leaders are fighting for Grenadians generally, and so focus on, but we're dealing with politicians, and they're skilled at diversion and smoke screens and red herrings.
Yeah. All right, I'll tell you what, there are a couple of things I want to touch on, but I have to take a little break here. One, I'm very anxious to share with you something that happened this past week on Thursday night, which will indicate to you guys that you got people out there watching your back. You got people out there watching your back. We're going to get to that in just a wee bit. And then I also want to talk about, I keep stressing on this, the need to be reconciliatory. I heard a speech by the Prime Minister sometime last week, Monday or Tuesday night, where he talked about setting up learning centers. And I want to find out whether or not...
Have you signed up to teach?
Andre, I'm glad to see that you do have a sense of humor. I always wonder about this guy. When he came in here this morning, the first thing I had to ask him to do was smile. Andre is always so stern, but I'm glad you have a sense of humor. Thank you very much, sir. No, I have not signed up to teach. Have you?
I'm always teaching, George. I'm always willing to teach. That's what I do every time.
That's what you do every time. Okay, there he is. So, Andre, Rachael, can you imagine him standing at the front of a class at one of those learning centers?
Mm-hmm.
You can?
Mm-hmm.
And what about you?
I think he was standing in front of a learning center of workers.
Pardon me?
In front of a learning center for workers.
Trade union matters one-on-one for schools.
Yeah. So I want to talk about any possible impact. As you guys, you keep saying here, you're going into these negotiations with all good intentions, and then we're hearing things like, we're going to set up learning centers, and me and my cabinet members are going to be tutors and stuff like that. I want you to think about that, and then let me take a little break here, and when we come back, I want your reaction to that. Here we go.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical, and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners, and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandance, and Lumber Department, Caranage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
Alrighty, folks, I'm back with my guest. Just before I get back to the lady and her two escorts here this morning, I want to turn to Rumbo Chat for just a minute. There's somebody by the name of Ernesto Jose, and he has two questions here. First of all, do you at any time or have you made any attempt to reach Mr. Chester Humphrey? His other question, we've been hearing about strikers' benefit funds. Can you highlight those? Well, I'm going to leave that to you guys to answer, my guest. But regarding Mr. Humphrey, I'm glad you brought that up, sir. I really am, because, you know, Chester Humphrey is somebody who's been very deeply involved. Quite frankly, outside of Gary, I don't know of anybody else who has been more involved in the labor movement in this country. And I was very, very anxious to hear his perspective of this whole debacle, if you will. I tried to invite him on the program. I've left 2 voicemails for him, and neither one's been answered. So yeah, out of respect for him, I believe he has a lot to add to this whole thing. But unfortunately, you're going to be deprived of that opportunity for the time being anyway. Mr. Humphrey still knows how to reach me. He does whatever he wants to. And I'm still hoping that one of these days he will pick up the phone and say, "Hey, George, man, let me talk." I'd love to hear from him. I know you do too. Now, let me get back to my guest. Andre and Rachael, perhaps you might want to take on this one here about strikers' benefit funds. Can you talk about those?
Well, let me say, as I indicated earlier on, different organizations approach this, and we also say no pain, no gain. And let me be brutally blunt and frank here. These are matters that are internal in nature. We do look after our members, and as Comrade Lydon has indicated, and I'm aware of that because I have gone through those things, Sister Rachael is observed too. Most of our members have indicated, if not all, that look, these are the price that they pay for struggle. We have, from time to time, if there are pressing needs, we have addressed those things, yes. But as I said, this has become a topic because what I'll call the other side wants to find out about our internal operations. And I would want the public to know that our members is aware of what is happening with us, and I would not want to give the other side any of our internal information. That's how I want to address this matter in particular. Yes?
And I just want to add that the humanitarian aspect of this is what seems to be being questioned, and the ability of workers to engage, because all workers have a right to do whatever it takes for the furtherance of their cause in a collective manner. And as trade unionists, we have this right enshrined in our constitution, and we always point to it, that every trade union in Grenada is given the right under the Constitution of Grenada, Section 11 specifically, to freedom of association. And if you look what freedom of association entails, it speaks to the fact that you have the ability to engage in any lawful activity with your members in a collective manner for the furtherance of your cause. And if that right is taken away from trade unions, from workers, specifically public officers, and is punished by the government, by our employer, it definitely sends a negative signal, because what it does is hinders workers from being able to fight for legal benefits, to be able to further their cause in a manner that enables them to be able to obtain whatever benefit. And we know that gratuity is a benefit that is a just benefit. It is one that speaks to the moral fabric of society, the social fabric of society, whereby you do not want to have senior citizens living in poverty. You do not want to have senior citizens who are not able to live a decent life. You want to ensure that the quality and standard of living of all your senior citizens is one that is of a high regard. And therefore, the appreciation of our employer in a democratic society, because what this also speaks to is that we are in a society that hinders and stifles the rights of workers and the rights of human beings to further their cause and to engage in an activity that allows them the freedom to get justice and to seek justice.
I think, George, I would approach this from a different angle. This is pure psychology. This is pure what I may call guerrilla warfare. Because to throw that out there, remember the first announcement that was made by the Minister for Education had to do with the docking of pay and temporary teachers. So you immediately threaten people's pocket and their tenure. And these are the most two vulnerable ways that you can affect workers, or perceived vulnerable ways to affect workers. They would have been hoping that by now, workers would have been so angry and so caught up in this talk of strike fund that they would start throwing eggs at us and things like that, and bashing their leaders as to the strike fund. It has not happened. So we'll leave them there. If they believe there is a strike fund and they want to tell us, we don't know what fund they have, we can speak to it. I'm not so brave to tell government what monies they have. So if they're brave enough to say we have strike fund, that was deliberately set out there so that when monies are not paid, our members would start hounding us down and starting to self-destruct. It has not worked. Yes, there are a couple members who are asking whether or not it does exist, and we've been able to deal with that internally. But it has not had the effect that they wanted. This thing is not as simple as people think. Go after him, go after them, they have money. You understand? That's the approach. So they take it and they say to the workers, no, you're angry, you're broke, go by your union leaders because they have money to give you. But that did not work the way they expected it to.
All right, Lydon, let me turn back to Rumble Chat for just a minute. Jabon, who's listening to you guys in Orlando, Florida, says, learning centers, eh? More like a swimmer in distress, grasping at straws. Good morning, Grenada says, politicians should get $1,200 per month. That way, all government workers can be equally paid. What are you guys smiling at? I mean, come on. Kipling says, why would Chester say anything about this matter when his bread is already buttered? So says Kipling. Kipling's out there in New York. Now there's some, I've never seen this one before. This person calls himself or herself Always Listen from Lanham. What a name. Anyhow, it says, as a former teacher, my advice to Double L, and I'm assuming that's you, Mr. Lewis, do not back down. Mr. Double L is smiling. And Jaban says, yes, indeed. Working people in a democratic society have the right to gather together to protect their interests. Now, before we went to the break a little while ago, I mentioned to you guys that I wanted to talk with you about a comment I heard a day or so ago. Emmeline Pear, apparently, the Prime Minister mentioned these learning centers. And Emmeline Pear says that the rollout of the learning centers begins tomorrow. Does that send a signal to the unions that government does not expect to reach a settlement? Who's going to take that one on?
That, to me, is an approach that we would not even want to comment on, because we are at the table, and we said we are at the new table, the table that was so negotiated for by Bishop Clyde Harvey. And as we go back to the table, we go back in good faith, we go back with goodwill. And any red herrings that is going to be thrown to try to keep us off the table in the interest of our membership and ensuring that our membership cause is furthered would not, we would not fall for it. We want to ensure that our members get a gratuity, and as we said, we recognize that we have to be at the table. And as trade unions, we determine when we sit at the table, we determine when we are off the table. And we use our negotiating skills well to determine that. And we would determine whether or not, whilst we are on the table, if things are not going the way we want to go, and we recognize that being on the table is not in our best interest, and that our members need to collectively do what is necessary, we would determine when that time comes and what we do. In addition to that, we do not want to support, and it seems to us that's where our country seems to be heading, into an authoritarian government that stifles the rights of the citizens of this country. And we would not support that. Trade unionism would never support such a thing. And if that is what is wants to be created in our society, we send the message that our trade union movement would always stand for collective unity among our membership and for freedom of association, and that is where we would go. What the government is doing seems to be intimidating, seems to be trying to get our members to be fearful and the leaders to be fearful. And we say to our membership, stand firm, stand in unity, stand for what we believe is just, for what we believe is equity. And we want equity. That's what we want, because we always see, and it is kind of really downheartening, depressing and mind-boggling in a way, why someone would have a benefit and would want to deprive another man of that benefit. It is really, really mind-boggling. I cannot imagine it. And it is selfish of any human being who is enjoying something, and you would want to deprive another man of that. When you know what it is doing for you, you know how it is supporting and helping you as a human being, and you would want to deprive another human being of it. It is really sad.
George, let me just say this. We all know the saying, give peace a chance. I would extend it to let's give the table, the new table for dialogue, let's give it a chance. And let me add, let's give the learning centers a chance. Let's see what would work out. Maybe it's a good, maybe they have a master plan. I would not like to criticize something that I don't know. I don't know the rollout. I think it's an interesting concept. The revolution had a lot of
Center for Popular Education.
Center for Popular Education. It did help in these times. Maybe they're onto something. I wouldn't criticize something that I don't understand, that I don't know about. So let's give it a chance. I mean, I've been a teacher for 28 years. Now I'm a trade union leader. So let's see. I would really like to see the rollout for that word. So let's give it a chance.
Let me explain to our listeners. Of course, you know that we started having Facebook issues earlier on once my friends came on here. Well, not only Facebook now, but I see that the other platforms we're on, like TuneIn and Radio Genre and whoever else, they are having big-time dropouts as well. So, again, I have to remind you folks that the program is being recorded. It's being recorded, and it's going to be up on Facebook and YouTube once we get through here this afternoon, so worry not about it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to share something with you. You probably got wind of it by now. It's important that you know that your work is not in vain. Your labor is not in vain. On Thursday evening, we did a program here called Make We Chat. I'm sure the name Patrick Antoine, Dr. Patrick Antoine, rings a bell with you folks. Dr. Patrick Antoine made an impromptu visit here on the program on Thursday night. And during the course of conversation, just out of the blue, came up and said, you know, hey, why don't we start a GoFundMe campaign in support of the teachers? I mean, everybody on the panel, I was here, somebody in New York, somebody in England, somebody wherever, went, wow, just like that. And we discussed the idea. And it was decided to go ahead and set up this GoFundMe campaign. Why? Patrick recognized that the teachers are obviously going to be going through a very difficult time. And not just because of the current environment, but because of the time of year. It's going to be really difficult. Did you hear about this, Andre?
I did.
Yeah, yeah. So I want your reactions. Let me start with you, Andre. Your reaction when you hear that level of support. I mean, you're not talking about snowbees down on the Carnation. You're talking Patrick Antoine, who's concerned.
Let me say, whether it be snowbees or Patrick,
whoever,
we admire and extend our heartfelt thanks to anyone that extend their support to us. And in particular, that move by Dr. Antoine. Because, as you rightly said, it is not just a matter of the deduction. And although we know that our teachers and other public officers are prepared to stand or withstand the impact of that deduction, let us not fool ourselves. It must be of concern and it must hurt. Yes, in other words, no pain, no gain. But at the same time, when you have pain, if there is someone who is willing to help relieve that pain, we want to say thank you very much. And it will go a long way, even in encouraging us as leaders, because we ourselves have to be doing a number of calculations in everything that you do. Because when you throw a pebble in a pond, you do not control many times the rippling effects. Yes? So with this kind of support, it gives us more confidence that we can stick our eyes on the prize, we can articulate our positions, and being fully aware that there will be some approach to help cushioning the impact of what the other side may do. To the best of my recollection and my research, this is the first time in any of our industrial action for many, many, many years in the public sector that this sort of action has been taken. Yes? So this is another first for this administration. And we need to bear that in mind. And timing is also important. This is the Christmas period that the activities of our public officers and our teachers in particular, and I'm singling out the teachers because we know that they are in the vast majority, Comrade LL, and I could understand, Comrade, the tremendous pressure that you'll be under. That will only toughen you. That will only make you stronger. Yes, because you're not doing anything that is wrong. There's not anything that you have to bend your head about. At the end of the day, we all will be better for it. You in particular will be stronger. And I dare say, I haven't told you that before. I was saving it for Parliament, but I'll tell you, I don't think that there were any better person, Comrade, who's better suited to lead the teachers at this particular moment in this struggle. the passion that you carry, the commitment that you have, the fight that you have in you. You remind me of Comrade Antoine, right? May his soul rest in peace. I was with him in the early 2000s when he was fighting government also. And it was around the same time that the Prime Minister made his infamous comment that I do not need my salary to survive, or so. And in particular, when Comrade Antoine, Victor Antoine, the then president of the Grenada Union of Teachers, when the teachers in St. Andrew, I think it was in the Lane School, Grenville Secondary School, walked out. Yes, when the Prime Minister came in. So even if 6 of us walked out from a negotiating table because of the insulted way in which the government came at us with the 2%, scores, if not hundreds of teachers had walked out on the Prime Minister in the early 2000s. And comrade, that will make us stronger, it will make us stronger. And therefore anything that can be done to help in this particular period, because when the parents do not get paid, it impacts upon the children. And what we are fighting for is to better the lives of the children and the parents down the road. So any form of assistance that we get, whether it be from Sobeys, right? Whether he wants to contribute 1 cent, or whether or not he says, look, Mr. Prime Minister, pay the 25%. We say, thank you very much. Dr. Antoine, and to you, George, and to all the listeners and everyone who is willing to make a contribution. Even if it is just a tap LL on the shoulder, even if it's just a tap Rachael on the shoulder, I say, guys, stick at it. Even if it says, look, do not get caught, do not get carried away, keep a cool head, thank you very much. Yes, even if it says, look, guys, we have to find a way to compromise, say thank you very much. Because this is extremely important, extremely, extremely important, taking into account the impact that it has done on the children, right? So,
George, let me give Andre a little bit of history. Maybe I should say that. I was the president of St. Andrew's branch when that protest action was taken in 2000 event. So it seems as though it has come full circle. But George, before I comment directly on the issue, let me thank all the financial institutions in Grenada. I think they deserve to be named. Grenada Cooperative Bank, Grenada Duty Credit Union, Republic Bank, NIS, Ariza, who else? They have all put up their hands and said to the union, we wrote to them, we will work with you to ease the financial burden caused by this huge deductions. And they, in their own way, they have they are working with teachers who, on a case-by-case basis, to bring some relief. So we're really appreciative of that. The help that comes, I followed the discussion. I've seen it. It was sent to me, what the discussions were. I look at the possible impact, but most so it's not the money, George. It's the fact that ordinary Grenadians, or Grenadians who understand the issues, and they are willing to assist regarding the issues. This is not just about a mere industrial action. This is an industrial action centered to safeguard persons' retirement future. And if we could get the help, our members would appreciate it. Now, mind you, they're willing to make the sacrifices. But if there is some way that they can bring release. For example, I would have said openly, the government could have handled this thing differently. They could have done the research and then have an incremental implementation of the deductions. But I guess your guess and my guess would be the same as to why it was done, the way it was done. It's not that teachers are not prepared to struggle, but there is always the impact. And so if we can find a way to, or there is a way that we could cushion the effect, we'd appreciate it. And I want to thank the persons who are going to have the project on, and we'll see what it yields. But I think that the world knows and the world understands the issue. Grenada understands the issues. Right. So I would not be surprised if it's a very successful venture.
Rachael, you get the final say, young lady.
I say this is a very gratifying move, and it really empowers the trade union movement. We recognize that this cause, all persons recognize this cause is a good cause, is a just cause, And I believe that's why it is getting the type of support that we are seeing. And we want to say to all persons in Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, that the work of the public service is the work that is in the interest of our whole country, our entire nation. All people in Grenada benefit from the work that public servants do. Every person in Grenada are impacted by the work that public servants do. So when public servants get a benefit from their country, it is a well-deserved benefit as servants of the state. We serve the people of the state. And I want to also thank all the institutions that really assisted. Ariza Credit Union, who went beyond the call to say that they would put a special system in place for public officers who come into Ariza from Wednesday this week. And the Grenada Union of Teachers Credit Union, who also supported us, the Grenada Cooperative Bank, the Republic Bank, NIS, and also the Grenada Cooperative Credit Union. All these institutions went beyond to actually reach out a hand. I had institutions actually calling me to say, we have received your letter and we're willing to help. And the ones that have not come forward as yet, we would be reaching out to them on Monday to see what type of support they can give to our membership. Because this helps persons to really cushion the effect of what is really happening. And we want to thank the entire country, the entire nation, for just supporting us and recognizing that this is a just and honorable cause.
Guys, let me tell you something. We're out of time. But I must make a personal comment here before we pull the plug. I can't say that I know each of you very well. Each of you have been on this program over the years from time to time. But it's not as if you and I go out and drink a beer together or have lunch together and socialize. So I can't say that I know you very well. But you want to know what? This brouhaha that we're going through right now has given me a totally different perspective of the three people. I'm honored to have three union leaders sitting here today. And I have nothing but a positive attitude and perspective of you people. I'm seeing an atmosphere in trade unionism that, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know it existed. I'm seeing people with a heart, people who care. But they're up against a brick wall. They are. But you know something? You guys have guts. You have guts. And that guts has served to rally this country behind you. I know there are people sitting down out there now watching and saying, hey, look at George Grant, you see, he biased, you see, he taking the union side. See if I care. Because you know what? I have a clear conscience that I made every effort, as I have over the years. The people who've been listening to this program will tell you, man, how many times I try to get the other side of the story. Nobody bothers with George. Do you know something, guys? Every time I call on you guys, you come. Sunday morning. Why are you sitting here with George Grant? Sunday morning. I appreciate that. And the country does. It really does. Thank you, lady and gentlemen. Thank you. Walk away from here today feeling real good. God loves you, and he's going to carry you through this. Folks, just before I pull the curtain down, I do have, as always, stay right where you are. You got to hear the scriptures too, you know. And Rachael didn't go to church this morning, so. Closing scripture comes to you from the book of James. James chapter 1, verse 27. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. James 1, verse 27. Pilgrims, I pulled out that scripture since last night. I didn't know we were having the sort of discussion we had here this morning. That's how God guides his children. Open your hearts to his guidance. My dear friends, that's going to do it for Georgie Porgy on this Sunday morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to extend an invitation to you to join me tomorrow morning and every weekday morning at 9 o'clock right here on Grenada Broadcast. And in the meantime, may the good Lord bless and keep you.